And we're live. Hi, everybody. So exciting.
Hello!
Yes, we are here to talk about, do one of my live streams, talk about what I've been watching, and in particular, deep dive. We are going to be talking about Wicked for Good. It's going to be super fun. And I knew that I had to have my friend Camille on to do this because she is the ultimate Wicked super fan.
Yes,
Unbelievable. You've seen it 30 times, right?
I have. I've seen the musical 30 times, starting with the original Broadway cast.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. So when did you first see it in that original cast?
So I was a senior when it came out. It came out October 2003. And so my mom took me to New York City when I graduated. So we saw it the summer of
Yeah.
2004 and got to see Idina and Kristen, and I fell in love with it. And it has been part of my life for 22
Yeah.
years.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. So we're pretty so I think so I graduated in 99. So we're just 4 years apart. So we're
Yeah.
pretty close, pretty close. But yeah, especially when I mean that's how I think of Les Mis. That was the show that really spoke to me in high school. That was sort of my first I mean the first musical I ever saw was Phantom,
Okay.
but the first one that I became like obsessed with was Les Mis.
I know, and it was my first Broadway show too, because we had planned
Mhm.
to go see it. So it just so many things like core
Yeah.
memory, and then I just
Mhm.
absolutely love the story. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, we have the chat room open, so if you want to add your comments about whatever we're talking about Wicked for Good, this will probably be somewhat spoilery. So if you haven't seen it, then I would maybe not listen to this live stream because we're going to be recapping. We're going to be talking about some details, and so I maybe might avoid it if you if you're spoiler sensitive. And we also have the super chat. So if you really want your question answered, then stick it in there, and that will help support the pod and everything I'm doing. And so yeah, this was pretty exciting. It was definitely my most anticipated of the year because the first movie had been so good. And it's funny when they first announced it, I was like, oh, split it into two movies. That seems like a big mistake. And and then I saw the first movie, and I'm like, wow, the first one was so good. And and then now I've seen the second one, and I'm like, yeah, it was a mistake. But I still liked the movie. I still enjoyed it, but I do think it was a mistake to split it into two. How do you feel?
see, I love that they split it into two because you leave the first movie, you're feeling happy, you're feeling powerful, and then you leave the second movie and it's a whole different roller coaster.
Yeah,
The second movie is not happy, but
I know,
the
and
second.
I guess I mean that's is I kind of don't like that.
See, and I liked the difference of you leave the first movie and you're all happy, and you leave the second movie and you're like, wow, holy crap, life just happened and all this just happened.
Yeah.
So you're on two different roller coasters through those
Uh-huh.
movies.
Yeah.
And it's like that in the musical. The second act of the musical is not happy at
Yeah.
all, like at all. So
Yeah.
I
But when
did
you combine
like.
them together, it doesn't yeah, like you don't feel kind of sad or depressed because like all
You
together
get both.
it's
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, I can see that.
but yeah, so it'll be interesting to watch both of them together whenever I get that experience because I'm curious if how I'll feel, about it. If because I
Yeah.
wasn't able to I was going to go to the marathon or whatever,
Yeah.
the double encore. But then I ended up having to go to a screening. It was so bizarre. They had the screening for Zootopia 2 at 10 a.m. on a Thursday.
Like
So
why?
weird. Like what? I mean, it's actually kind of convenient for me because it saved me from having to go on Saturday, but it was just so weird. Like, what was Disney thinking? Why would they have
I did have a friend who
screening for a family film at 10 a.m. on a school day? It was
yeah.
very, very
I
bizarre.
did have a friend who did the double feature and she said
Uh,
she loved it.
oh
So
yeah. Yeah.
People might
Well,
have to do that. You just need 5 hours of your day.
so I saw Wicked for the I've only seen it twice on stage. The
Okay.
first time I was in 2006. I actually had Anna Gasteyer as my Elphaba, and I had Kate Reindeers as my Glinda. So that's
Okay.
pretty fun. And then I actually the second time I saw it was just this year
Yeah.
when it came in to town. And so yeah, I haven't seen it, that many times. And not somebody that knows the like that knows the stage show so well. But I think what makes it work is and I think this is true for the movie as well is the friendship dynamic. I love friendship stories and the chemistry between Glinda and Elphaba, their relationship. I think that is the strength of the movie, the strength of the musical.
Yes. Their friendship is the show. Like, it's
Yeah.
showing you how these witches became best friends, and then what happens to them in the end is just
Yeah.
awful.
And I think that keeps me from feeling too sad about part 2 because we get that for good moment as the highlight of the movie, and so it keeps it somewhat hopeful, at least, of their friendship and their relationship and things like that.
That's what, because like when I left the first movie, I felt powerful, because
Uh-huh.
Elphaba is standing up for what she believes in. And then the second movie, I left feeling hopeful, because Glinda is good now. Like, she doesn't just want to be popular anymore. She doesn't just want to be a pretty face. Like,
Uh-huh.
she wants to do good. And so I think that was really, really cool how they do that.
Well, and it's nice for Glinda to have a character that leads with kindness. That's her first impulse in any
Hmm.
situation is how can I be kind, and
Yeah.
that's something that is kind of sometimes devalued in our society is kindness, femininity, warmth,
Yes.
sweetness, all of these, kind of things. And that's one thing I loved so much about Barbie is that's another character that leads with kindness, right? And
Yes.
then so she's confronted with the world and the world doesn't like kindness.
N-
And
no.
I think you get some of that with Glinda's character as well.
Yeah, and I meant she had such a good friend because like Elphaba's good. She's never ever wicked. And so
Well,
she could see that.
that was one problem though that I had. I
Mhm.
for a lot of the tie-ins to Wizard of Oz, I didn't think really worked that well for me. And I somebody was saying on Twitter that, that line where she's like, "Stop crying."
Uh-huh.
Somebody was saying on Twitter that that's in the musical. And I
Yeah,
don't
well
is that in
the
there? She
line,
says,
yeah.
"Stop crying."
Yeah, she says to stop crying and then she shuts the door. Like, she actually has the door
Okay.
on stage. She shuts it and goes, what kind of girl would take a dead woman's shoes? You must have been
Yeah.
raised in a barn.
See,
Like,
I forgot that she said that in the musical, but at least in the movie, I was like, we're supposed to be rooting for this person. And she is literally yelling at a young girl to
a
stop
12-year-old.
crying. Like, that's away from her home, that she is, experiencing trauma. And here, this is supposed to be our hero, and she's yelling at a little girl. Like,
But
that that made her harder
she
to
just
root
wants the
for.
shoes. She just wants the shoes. That's all. Like, Dorothy could have given them to her.
Well, could she? I thought she couldn't take them off. In
Supposedly,
Wizard of Oz,
but
yeah, in Wizard
you
of Oz.
know.
I mean, the way that you have to look at Wicked in general is you have to look at it as like fan fiction,
Yeah,
of the Wizard of Oz,
true.
and that and
Cuz
I think
they can't use, like, things are copyrighted, so they can't use certain items from the Wizard of Oz. They
I
can't
mean,
say
yes,
Toto. They can't say
right.
ruby red slippers, like things
Right.
like that,
Well
you know.
yes, but even more than that though, is that if you really start if you start a deep dive and thinking about it, stuff starts to fall apart. It doesn't really make sense with the character from The Wizard of Oz. Like,
Yeah.
for example, the whole reason why Dorothy throws the water on the Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz is because she's lighting the Scarecrow on fire. That's the whole reason, and she would never do that if it was Fiero. That would make
You
no
know
sense.
what? Sometimes couples get in fights.
No.
That, like
You burn your like, that would make no
sometimes, you
sense.
just want to light your man on fire. I don't
And so anyway, I just think there's some stuff like that that really when you start picking at it, it doesn't make sense. And they had a lot more Wizard of Oz than I was expecting in
See,
this
and
movie.
I thought it was about the same amount that they do
Really?
in the musical,
That's a musical, huh?
but they did play up that melting her will kill her. So they did play that up more
Yeah.
because of like the posters they had, and they had it on the buckets that people were
Mhm.
carrying of water. They said melt her on
Yeah,
them.
they did.
So they did make that more of a point that, water's going to melt her. And Fiero said, like, are people so empty headed they'll believe anything? Because they do. They believe that water's actually going to melt her. Plus,
Mhm.
it plays into who he's going to become. So.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I think that one of the biggest changes that they had to make was with Nessa,
Yes.
and in particular because they had to change it from her walking to flying. So how did you feel about that and her character in general?
So I knew that they weren't going to have her walk, because she is wheelchair bound, which I think
Right.
is fantastic that they actually used an actress who is wheelchair bound. And
Mhm.
the first question she asked John Chu was, "What are we going to do?" She walks in the musical. And he's like, "I got that covered." So I did like how she said she just wanted to feel light as air because that's how she felt when her and Bach were dancing at the Ozdas Ballroom. And
Mhm.
so Elphaba gave her that feeling again, let her float to be light as air. And so I did like that. And then, when she starts like changing Bach, she is back in her wheelchair and everything.
Mhm.
But I do feel like I wanted Nessa to be more powerful in the musical. She like really, that Wicked Witch of the East song is such like a chilling song because you're finding out that she's wicked. And in the movie, I don't feel like they did it that she was so wicked that she could have put a little bit more evil into it.
You mean like actual superpowers, like actual spells
No,
and
just
magic,
like the
or
grit of the song, the singing of the
oh, okay.
song could have been more powerful
Mhm.
because in the musical, that song gives me chills like every time. And I did not get chills
Yeah.
in the movie.
Yeah, well, and she is pretty cold to Bach, and 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 that only cares about her own experience,
Yes.
her own feelings. But yeah, I wish the performance was a little one note for me,
Yeah.
and a little flat, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting the idea of her flying because then you kind of take away the idea of her being cured or
Hmm.
being deficient in some way, and then now she's walking like flying is a completely different experience,
Yeah.
than
But yeah,
than
so I did like how they changed it that she just wanted to
yeah.
feel light as air and
Hmm.
Elphaba let her feel light as air.
Yeah.
So that was a cool take on that part of it. So I did like that. I just wish her performance would have been a little stronger.
Yeah, I agree. So the another big difference is the animals leaving Oz scene. Okay, so she talks to them, particularly the lion. The lion feels angry that Alphabet had set her free from the cage, and they're all wanting to leave. They're
Hmm.
frustrated. How did you feel about that scene? That was a new scene.
See, I loved it
Hmm.
because it foreshadowed where, spoiler, where Elphaba and Fiero go to leave Oz.
Uh-huh.
Because they have to leave Oz because of what happens, but you don't really know where they go. And so the animals, like, I think it was cool how she got to see Dulcie Bear again and say, hey, and when she said, keep fighting because I know who you are, like, that was
Yeah.
such a huge line for me because she knows Elphaba and she knows that Elphaba is going to fight for the animals and
Uh-huh.
do everything she can, but like the animals having to leave
Yeah.
was actually a really, really good ad because it made you more aware of what Elphaba was fighting for. Because in the musical, you know, she's trying to fight for the animals, but no, she's got all these animals that she's like, hey, no, come together, come with me, come fight. And they're sitting there going,
Yeah.
you know? So I did like that. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it okay. Again, it makes no sense when you start thinking of Wizard of Oz because even this is
Mhm.
the same woman who said, "I'll get you my pretty and your little dog too." No, like he would never
Toto's
say that.
annoying, okay? He's not a good boy.
But I mean, I don't really love that style of sort of like the Lion King CGI weird photo hyper realistic. So but just visually it wasn't my favorite. But like, yeah, I mean, it was fine. I thought that the two new songs, I think No Place Like Home was the better of the two new songs.
Yeah, I felt like Girl in the Bubble kind of just appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But I feel like No Place Like Home actually fit into the
Yeah,
story
I
because she
agree.
was talking about their home. But yeah, Girl in the Bubble was an odd place. That was like the one thing in the movie that I was like, they're ready to kill your best friend. And you're like, oh no, you
Yeah.
know, that was,
And
yeah,
not Stephen Schwartz's finest hour when it comes to the
no.
lyrics.
Yeah, I did like the No Place Like Home. I did like that one.
Yeah, I mean, and that was a nice homage to bringing in the Wizard of
Yeah.
Oz. That worked quite well. I was talking with somebody on Twitter that they were saying that has new music for a screen for filmed musical ever made the musical better. And I was thinking of it, and I think the only example is Sound of Music. I think the Sound of Music is the one. I mean, the new songs on there were so good. I Have
Mhm.
Confidence, Something Good, um, the way that they moved things around, like moving my favorite things to the swapping my favorite things in the Goat Herder song, things like that, making it
Worked.
significantly better than this. Like if you watch the stage version of Sound of Music, it's not as good.
Yeah, but they did a lot
They
better
did
in
a
the
lot better.
movie.
And these, I mean, no, I think the No Place Like Home is the better of the two. I think they were both fairly forgettable songs, but yeah, I would rather listen to the No Place Like Home. Of course, performed
Yeah.
very well, both of them.
And, you
By
know, they had to add something because the second act is so much shorter than the
yeah,
first act. And I meant the
well,
only, like, the
and
two biggest songs in the second act are No Good Deed and For Good. So
yep. Well,
they
see,
had to try to add something.
that's why I was so skeptical because I was like, this is a very top heavy musical. It's
Yes.
mostly reprises in the second act, as long
Yes.
as you're mine, for good, and no good
No
deed.
Good Deed.
That's basically it. And so yeah, they had to, and I guess I was hoping that because the first part was so strong, I was hoping that the stuff that they did add would be would be great and I would be blown away. And I wasn't, but I was more mixed on it, I guess. And so
Yeah.
in that sense it was disappointing. I didn't hate it or anything,
Yeah. That's kind
but
of
I
how
don't
I
know.
sat. And yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
like,
for the new stuff. Yeah.
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 I mean,
Um
I loved all the story they added because it filled in a lot of the holes from the musical that you're kind of wondering about.
uh-huh.
So I did like the added things. I loved how they did the flashback of Glinda at her birthday party
Oh, yeah,
when
that's
she got
true.
her
That was
when
good.
she got her magic wand and she tried to make magic and she couldn't, but then all of a
Mhm.
sudden there's a rainbow, so everyone thought she could do magic. Like, so that was really, really cool.
I just felt kind of sad that like she's ends up alone. Everybody ends up kind of like sad, and it's just I felt because like really the second part is Glinda's story, and she kind of ends up
Mhm.
sad,
But she is happy that she's going
alone.
to be able to give Oz and all the animals in Oz a better life because
Hmm.
her best friend loved these animals and
It's
now she
true.
can rule
She's gonna
over a
free
place
them.
that she can make, you know, Elphaba happy.
Yeah, what did you think about the main message about propaganda that we had? How did you think that was handled in the movie?
With like the animal stuff or
Yeah, well, and just like the way I thought it was interesting the way that Madame Morble was very careful to police everyone's language. Every time anybody talked about Elphaba, it had to be the Wicked Witch, that
yes.
things like that, and I thought that was emblematic of a propaganda state.
Well, it is because it's all about control with the Oz. They want everyone to do what they want to do, and that's kind of scary because
Mhm,
it does happen in our times right now that it's happening. Like you have to think a certain way, you have to do a certain thing, and this is how it is. I mean, they were Madame Morrible and the wizard were the ones that told everyone that Elphaba was wicked and made an
mhm,
enemy
yeah,
because he says the only way to bring people together is to give them a really good enemy, and
mhm,
that's what they did.
yeah.
So
Well,
it's
and that
kind of
you have to
scary.
police people's language, you can't say things you have to say things in this particular way, things
Yeah.
that is something that happens in
Yep,
authoritarian
and it's
states.
horrifying.
Mhm,
So
yeah. I thought that Jeff Goldblum did better in his singing in this one than in the first one. It's not, like, amazing,
uh
but I thought it was better.
it oh my gosh. Okay. I love him. I
You don't
love
think
him.
so?
But he's not a singer. We all know he's not a singer. So
I really did think it was better, though. I feel like
it
he took some
yeah.
lessons, he tried.
He tried, you know what? He tried. And you know what? It just makes me think like the wizard and Madame Morrible are such
Uh-huh.
fake people. Maybe
Yeah.
they shouldn't have good singing voices because they're
Yeah.
so fake.
That's an
So
interesting
that's
point. I mean, I thought that Michelle Yeoh was way worse than,
she was so bad. Her
it was
singing is
really
so
bad.
bad.
I really think that they should have cut down on, if possible, just removed any singing from her
Yeah. Yeah.
because
When
her
she
performance was
started
fine, but
yeah.
not the singing.
But that's what I have to like make myself think is that the wizard and Madame Morrible are such fake and awful people that why would they have pretty singing voices? Because that
Yeah,
would be weird.
yeah. How did you feel about the addition of the wedding and kind of the events that happen in and around the wedding? How do you feel about that?
Oh my gosh, I loved it. So in the musical, it's their engagement party. They're never at a wedding. Like
Mhm.
Wonderful takes place during Elphaba and Fiero's engagement party.
Yeah.
So you never get to the wedding. But like the biggest, I have chills right now because the biggest thing for me was when Glinda was walking down the aisle and Elphaba was walking down the aisle of the caged animals. They went down the stairs
Mhm.
at the same time. They walked down those aisles at the same time. And it just opened up a whole new thing of Elphaba is walking down an aisle and Glinda's walking down an aisle.
Yeah.
And so that was huge, like a huge part for me, which is kind of crazy, but I just loved how they mix those two
Yeah.
together.
That was
And
a good
then,
symmetry.
uh
I
huh,
just felt sad for Glinda, though, because not only does she not get to marry Fiyero, who hasn't been honest with her,
yeah,
she also, she's so hopeful when they added her to Wonderful,
yes.
and she's so hopeful that because she just wants everybody to get along, she wants everybody to be happy, she wants
She
everybody to be.
truly she truly believes though that the wizard is still good at that point
Yeah, I mean,
because
that's why
she
I actually think
wants
it worked quite well to have her in that
yeah.
song.
That's
And
I
be
love yeah, I did love them adding her because then they switched the whole defying gravity. Like during defying gravity, Elphaba goes, Glinda, think of what we could do together. And then in this part of this version of Wonderful, Elphaba or Glinda says, Elphaba, think of what we could do together.
yeah.
Like she truly believes that they can be wonderful. And that's just not how it
Well,
is.
and then in fairness to her, that's what they tell her.
Yeah.
Like, they convince her, that's the whole point of the song, and
Yep.
that it just makes me kind of sad,
It is, and that's
for
why,
her.
like, the second movie shows Glinda going through all these stages
Mhm.
of her, like, character development and what happens in real life to
It's
her.
just funny because when I watched the musical, I didn't feel sad at the
Mm-mm.
end because you have both parts together.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like, oh, this is it. When I watched the movie, I was like, oh, there's no happy ending.
But there is, like, because Glinda stands up, and like I said, she's going to rule Oz so well, and
Mhm.
she's going to have everyone happy. And, that's
What
how. And
what
I
what do
hope
you
Elphaba and Fiero find their happily ever after out of Oz.
what do you think about the fact that she can work the grimoire all of a sudden at the end?
See, and I love that because in the musical, Elphaba gives Glinda the Grimoire and she's like, I can't read that. And then Elphaba says, well, you're going to have to learn. Well, that's all. So you just assume that Glinda's going to learn. So at the very end of the movie, when the Grimoire lights up, it's like, oh, okay, she can. Like, she's going to be able to read it. So I did like how they added
Is
that
is that like
because,
Thor's hammer or something? Like you're
yeah,
wording what's it
it
called?
shows
I forget
her.
what that yeah.
But I think that because like Elphaba like physically passed it on to her,
Uh-huh.
and that's such a big moment because like no one can read the Grimoire. The wizard can't read the Grimoire. He just says Omaha and thinks it's a spell. Like, So I think it's a great, great ad that they made it show that Glinda is going to be able to read the Grimoire.
So here's an interesting question. I think it's pretty clear that we're gonna get another one of these movies. I think if that they were definitely leaving themselves room, and with how much money this is gonna make, I think we're gonna get
Yeah.
another one. And how would you feel about that? Because obviously that would require all new music, all new, from Steven Schwartz and a whole Glinda story.
Mhm.
What do you think? How do you feel?
I would be up for it. Like I said. So, I mean, I have been obsessed with Wicked for over 22 years. Like,
Uh-huh.
it's my life. Anybody who knows me, I'm obsessed with Wicked. And now that people are finally getting to my point of obsession, it makes me happy
Yeah.
because I've been in my own little corner and everyone's like,
Mhm.
Wicked, what's that? I'm like, oh my gosh, you don't know what it is. So
Yeah.
having it expanded would like give me a whole new take on it. So I would be happy that if they made another one and just kept going, with what happens to Glinda. Like, I want to know what
Mhm.
happens to Fiero and Elphaba. Like, do we get Fiero and Elphaba babies? Like, what? You know?
Because that is so there is multiple books, but then
Yes.
the books are totally different than the musical.
Son of a Witch is very different.
Yeah, I mean, so they would have to because they have children in the first
Yeah.
book. I mean, Glinda's not in the first book very I read it for
Yeah.
the first time this year. Glinda is not in the first book very much.
The books are horrible. I
But
Because
maybe
people are
there's
like, "Oh
something
my
in
gosh, I
there
have
that
to
they
read the
could
book." And I go, don't no. Just like if you want to watch the musical, watch the movie. You don't need
Uh-huh.
to add the book.
But is there stuff in there that then they could extrapolate
They
in
could,
into
yeah,
the
they could pull different things out of it, and say that it's based on the book, just like they did the musical, things like that. But they have a lot of freedom to do what they want, and I think they might go for
Yeah,
it.
I think so too. I really do. I felt like they were kind of they're certainly leaving that option open.
Yeah, they didn't close it because I meant that's how the musical ends too. But
Mhm.
that's just how it ends, and you can think
Yeah.
whatever you want. But now that they have this whole Wicked universe that they can do whatever they want, they might take their shot to make more money.
Do you think that do you think that Glinda knows that Elphaba survived and that she's with Fiero, or do you think she thinks she's
No,
melted at the
I
end?
think she thinks she's melted
Okay.
because the people of Oz were so adamant about, pure water can melt her. And Glinda just saw all that, saw all these people wanting to kill her best friend by water, that I don't even think she thinks that Elphaba's alive. Like, I truly believe she thinks she's dead. And then with Fiero, it was interesting because in the musical, Elphaba gets a note from Chissery that says, like, this is the plan because they've asked the people who played Elphaba on Broadway, like, hey, what does that note say? What do you think it says? And they've always said, well, it's Fierro saying, I'm alive. This like meet me here and I'll come get you type of thing. And so when Chistery brought Fierro's part of his costume in the movie, that was kind of cool because I do believe that it says like, hey, I'm coming to get you, and she just has to tell Glinda like he's dead, We couldn't
Mhm.
so because Glinda thinks Fierro is dead because they took him away and hung him up on the poles. So she doesn't think he's alive, and then they beat the crap out of him. So
Yeah,
yeah.
one of the highlights I thought of the movie was the No Good Deed. I thought that number was
Oh
very
my
well done.
gosh. That
And
was my favorite part. I didn't cry during For Good. I cried in the intro of No Good Deed.
yeah, it kind of reminded me of the mob song in Beauty and the Beast. Felt like it
Yeah.
kind of had that energy to
She
it.
finally bursts and she finally is like, fine, if you think I'm
Mhm.
wicked, whatever, I am, you know? But like, she's not wicked, but holy crap, like Cynthia totally killed that song. And the cinematography of that song and everything that they did of that made
Mhm.
me so happy because that is my favorite song of the whole show.
Oh,
So
really?
I really didn't want them to mess that one up. And I'm like, please. And they didn't. It was
Yeah.
so good. And Cynthia opts up in the part that I wanted because whenever I see the musical, there's one part of the song that the Elphabas can choose whether or not to opt up. And
Oh,
the
I didn't
last
know
time it
that.
was in Salt Lake, Lauren Samuels did not opt up. Like every time I saw her,
Oh.
I'm like, come on, girl, you can do it. The last day that she performed, because they switched casts in Salt Lake,
Yeah.
the last day she performed, I was there and she opted up when I wanted her to. And after the show, I talked to her and I'm like, you opt up during No Good Deed. And she's like, I was so nervous the whole time. And so she hadn't. And then she finally did, and it was amazing. But
Oh, wow.
oh, it
Yeah.
just makes me happy. It makes my little
Uh-huh.
wicked heart happy.
Very good. Yeah. That was very good. And I think another highlight was For Good because
Yes.
I
Oh,
mean,
the door scene, like
yeah, because the
after.
whole thing is about their friendship. That's the whole we talked about the message of the movie is
Yes.
about their friendship and seeing the good in people that at first you don't think you have anything in common with this person,
Yeah.
and then becoming important.
And then the apologies, and
Mhm.
everything just gets set straight. And then when they like told each other they loved each other, I was like, oh my gosh, like they're best friends. Like you always tell your best friend you love them, and you never hear that in the musical. So when they
Uh-huh.
said that I love you and I love you too, I was like, that was really sweet.
It was very sweet. Yeah, it was. So yeah, since I left once I left the theater, I was like super pretty high when I left the theater.
Yeah.
I still felt like they shouldn't have made it into two movies, but I was feeling pretty good. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, boy, it was very depressing. And so the more I thought about it, the more I was like, oh, I don't know if I like that what they did. It's not something that I feel. It's not something that I feel like a great desire to go watch it again, like I did with
Uh-huh.
the first one. And
Okay.
and part and I think part of that is just my taste. I'm like a Hallmark girl. I like things that are more positive, more, like that's more my style.
You want the happily ever after,
Yes,
not like everyone dying.
everyone's dying in the world, and she's yelling at a little girl.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
not my favorite.
But
So the more I
something,
thought about it, I was like, oh, I don't know,
yeah.
but I like I said, I still would recommend it for the good songs, for the friendship, for some of the elements,
The
but
added parts, like I do love how they added more of the flying monkeys into it
uh-huh.
and how they added like Fiero telling the monkeys to go protect Elphaba. I think it was just really good because you more understand like why the flying monkeys are Elphaba's rather than her just releasing them and now they're hers.
Mhm. Yeah.
And one of the flying monkeys from the first movie.
Wearing her jacket, right?
When right by Madame Morrible, the
Uh,
monkey who stole Glinda's jacket in the first movie is wearing it. I'm like, John Chu, yes.
I did think that the wedding looked so much like the wedding in Crazy Rich Asians. I
Uh-huh.
was like,
Yeah.
yeah, John Chu.
John Chu, man.
It looked very similar.
It was still pretty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was very
Yeah.
pretty.
Oh, sorry. I have to bring up. So the horseback riding person in the first movie,
Uh-huh.
for an entire year, I thought it was Elphaba because after she
Oh, you mean,
dies,
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
thought she was going to go meet Fiero or like right away.
Uh-huh.
But then the very last preview that they showed had Glinda. It's a split second that she grabs black boots out of her closet, and I was like, oh, it's Glinda. And then in the movie, it shows you it's Glinda. So for a year, I was wrong. I thought it was Elphaba on the horseback,
Yeah.
and everyone thought it was Elphaba. So that was another good thing that I thought was pretty cool that they hid it from us that it was actually Glinda on the
Mhm.
horse.
Mhm. Yeah, that was fun. That was good. All right. Well, I think we covered it pretty well. Is there anything else that you particularly want to mention?
I
I think
don't think
I
so.
think we
Like
covered it pretty well.
I love it, and
Uh-huh.
like I do want to watch them both together. Maybe you'll have to do that
Yeah.
too to see if the roller coaster of emotions even each other out. But I don't want people going into the second movie thinking it's a happily ever after
No,
movie. It's not.
it's
Neither
not.
is the musical. So,
I'm really, really surprised that it got a PG rating.
oh really? See, I thought it was fine because like,
Well, I mean, just PG is very rare these days. Like, just for
uh-huh.
usually for thematic elements, and
Yeah.
like just for the as long as you're mine, like that gets pretty.
See,
I'm
and
surprised that it got PG.
we only got to see half of Jonathan Bailey's chest. So I didn't think it was that bad.
Well,
No.
no, I don't think it's that bad. I just think it was
But
PG-13. Like, it's
yeah,
pretty rare that a live action gets PG these days. It's almost exclusively
because of
reserved
everything going on. Yeah.
for like almost all PG movies these days are animated,
Animated.
and so I'm surprised. Just
I mean, I
the
would tell
thematic
parents like if
elements, the darkness,
yeah. I would tell parents like if they want to take their kids, go watch it yourself first and because
yeah.
you know your kid to see if it would be a good fit for them.
Mhm.
So,
It's like a little bit darker
yeah.
and a little like that's as long as your mind is like, oh, it's not steamy, but it's like a little bit
It's a
steamier
start,
than
it's a beginning of steamy and you
beginning of
guess what
steamy.
happens. So
Yeah.
if your kid is oblivious to that, like whatever, but probably not. So,
Yeah. But I think the most I would say certainly most kids fourth grade and up would be
yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
But
cuz
every
my
kid and family is
friend,
different. But
I have to give a shout out. Her name's Boston. She's 10 years old. She's one of my good friend's daughter and she's loving Wicked right now and she got to go see it and they loved it.
we loved
So,
it.
that's
Yeah.
good.
So, well, very good. Let us know if you're listening, you're watching, what you think about all these different things that we're talking about. And so I have seen since the last live stream, let's see here. Let me pull
You've
it
done a
up.
lot.
Yeah, because I've been hosting the movie show. And so that has just added a ton of movies that I probably wouldn't have seen otherwise. But sometimes that's been really awesome and forced me out of my comfort zone, which I love. So the first one that I want to talk about is I saw the movie Keeper. And this is by Osgood Perkins, director. He did a movie called Long Legs and Monkey. This is a horror movie. It didn't completely work for me. It's about Tatiana Mansley. She plays this woman who goes to a secluded, isolated cabin with her boyfriend of 1 year. They're celebrating the anniversary. And she gets there and things start to be very weird. Like, don't go to an isolated cabin if you're in a horror movie. That's a bad choice.
They
Don't
should
do
have
it.
known that.
Yeah, bad choice. And it's if you really love like M. Night Shyamalan style movies with like big twists and stuff, then you probably like this more than I do. She's very good. and it has some real gross out, horror kind of moments, but it was kind of slow for me. It was a little boring. Then I saw A Very Jonas Christmas. This was on Disney Plus. It's actually really fun. If you're feeling kind of down because of Wicked, watch this and you'll feel like happy. Because this is also, I was surprised it is a full on musical. It's not just them like performing in a concert type situation. No, they're like singing down the street and stuff, like musical. That surprised me a lot. And it was funny. It has tons of cameos. It's got Will Ferrell in there as cameo. It's got a bunch of different cameos. And it was very enjoyable. You don't have to be like I'm not a big Jonas Brothers fan, and I really enjoyed it. So, so then I saw on Hallmark, I saw Tidings for the Season. This was Tamara Mowry Housley. This one was disappointing. She's a mom, and she has her little boy like idolizes this newscaster, like local newscaster played by BJ Britt. She works at the news station doing like hair and makeup, and her little boy loves this newscaster, and they end up meeting and becoming friends, and it wasn't very good, unfortunately. And then I saw a Holiday Touchdown, a Bill's love story. So I think I gave this a coal in our preview, which we do for Hallmarkies podcast, and because it just did not interest me at all, and I didn't like the leads that much. It ended up really surprising me, and I had a good time with it. I love the friends to lovers trope in romance. That's probably my favorite, and they did it so good. He's just like yearning for her, their neighbors, and I thought that worked quite well, very good. So I enjoyed that one a lot more than I expected. I saw Champagne Problems, that it was on Netflix, and this is a very basic romance. She runs this company, and she goes over to Paris to she's purchasing a champagne, an old champagne company, producer, whatever, farm. And she meets by chance this French man who like shows her around Paris. They have this meet cute or whatever, unbeknownst to them that he's the one that runs she's going to be purchasing his company, right? So they're like rivals, but they don't know it, but they kind of fall for each other. And this is as basic as it gets, but it was entertaining. I liked both the leads. Paris is very romantic, so if it's your thing, then you'll enjoy it. Then I saw Marty Supreme, and so this is the new film with Timothée Chalamet, and I wasn't a big fan of this. And I think part of the problem, so much about it, even as a critic, you try to be objective, but I'm not a robot. I have human emotions. And so my expectations can figure into my overall feeling. And that was, I think, a little bit the case here, because I was expecting it to be a little bit more crowd pleasing. I thought it was like a sports movie. He's playing ping pong. And so I was expecting to just enjoy it more, but I forgot this an A24 film, and it's really quite gritty and artsy. And everybody in the movie is very unlikable. He is very unlikable, and I think if you go in with that mindset of like, this is an art piece, this is gritty, this is an exploration of relationship, you know what I mean? Instead of I'm expecting an inspirational sports movie. Which that's too strong, but I was expecting something more crowd pleasing than what it is. And so I just didn't enjoy it. It was really long. It was 2.5 hours long, and I just didn't like any of these people. And he's very good. If he wins the Oscar for it, I will not complain. He is very good. So it's just a matter of personal taste. that it wasn't for me. Then I saw Sentimental Value. This is another Oscar contender. This is a Norwegian film, and it's by the same person who there was a movie a couple of years ago called The Worst Person in the World that got nominated for a couple of Oscars. It was quite good. Same director and writer. And this is good. This will be kind of boring to some people. It doesn't have a ton of plot, but it's about this man. He's a director, and he's kind of washed up director, and he decides he wants to make a movie about like his life, like make it autobiographical. So he wants to hire his daughter to play this role in the movie about his life. And she doesn't want to do it because they are strange. They have both of his daughters. Well, then, so he decides he's going to hire Elle Fanning from Hollywood. He's going to hire her because his daughters don't want to do it. You can understand. Well, anyway, she comes over, and then all of a sudden the daughters are like, wait, you're replacing us. Like, you're literally casting somebody in our place. So I think it works so well because the emotions and the relationships feel so genuine and true and relatable. Like, if you've ever done a project with your family, like you kind of run into these sort of feelings and issues, and I thought it was excellent, very good, very well acted. Like I said, it'll be a little slow for some people, but I think it's one of the stronger films of the year. It was very good. I saw Zootopia 2, and I'm under embargo, but you can do it like a social media response. And I really enjoyed Zootopia 2. And I thought it was so smart that they didn't try to do an allegory like they did for the first one, like a real strong allegory. And it's just a fun detective story. And I think that was smart. There's a message, but it's not as overbearing as the first one. So I really enjoyed it a lot. Then I saw Wake Up Dead Man. This is the latest from Rian Johnson. Do you like these Knives Out movies? Are you a fan?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I think that you'll like it. I'm not a fan. I don't feel like they build the clues very well. That's my frustration.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm engrossed with like, oh, what's going on there? What's going on there? And I'm figuring it out as Blanc figures it out. And Glass Onion especially annoyed me because they didn't even let him figure it out. Like, Janelle Monáe was the one who solved it in the end. I'm like, what is the point of this whole movie? Like, you don't even let your detectives solve the case. And so exposition bound, and that to me is not very satisfying when, like, I think a good mystery, I should be following along and figure it out along with the detective, not need this huge exposition dump of paragraphs and paragraphs about how he got to what he was, figuring out. So it doesn't work for me, but this one is definitely better than Glass Onion. And I think part of it is because Josh O'Connor's character, who's the lead, who plays this priest, he is very easy to root for. He is very he's a good character. It's a good performance, and so I liked that. The mystery side of it, no, I did not like, and I didn't think it was well done. Then I saw Sisu Road to Revenge. This is one I saw because of the movie show. And you know what? It was actually really fun. This is a movie that knows what it is and goes for it. Sisu, basically, that translates it's a movie set in Finland. And Finland in Finnish, it means to a person who can't be killed. Sisu, man who can't be killed, or whatever. And so the movie is very simple. In the last movie, his kids and wife were killed. Mm-hmm. And so he's on a revenge quest against particularly the general, played by Stephen Lang, who's this Russian general. And he is this so drippingly evil Russian general, really fun in that way, over the top. And most of the movie is these elaborate chases between
Oh.
on different types of transportation. There's a great sequence on a train where they're following each other, and it's extremely bloody. It is extremely brutal, not for everybody. There's a great scene when they're both on these trucks and they're following each other. And at one point, he gets in a tank and he literally lights the tank on fire, and there's dynamite, and it goes, and the tank flies through the air, does a somersault, ends up on the other side of the thing.
I love that you're
And he's just
laughing.
like, I mean, that's just the kind of movie it is. Like, it's over the top. It's really fun, and just well done. The other thing too is it's only 89 minutes, so it doesn't wear out its welcome. It just keeps going, 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 and I think for what it's trying to do, it was a blast. So people should just check it out. I mean, especially if you like the first one, it's very similar, except for this has more budget and it's a little bit, I think, a little bit better made than the first one. So anyway, I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. And that is everything for that I've seen in film. So let me talk a little bit about what I've seen in theater. Hello. And thank you for just listening to me do this. Okay. So it's not that much that I saw. I saw a play. This was at Sentinel Theater at the Hive Collaborative in Provo, called Circle Mirror Transformation. And the idea is it's about this acting class in Vermont. And it's supposed to follow these, I think it's 5 people that are in this acting class for 6 weeks. And you see their characters evolve and their relationships evolve. They did a very good job. The acting, the staging, all of that. I just didn't love the play. I just didn't love the play because, like, even if you had, I think, gotten to know somebody pretty well, the amount of stuff that they knew about each other from just taking a class together seemed inauthentic. I didn't buy it. I mean, I have friends that I've had in my life for a decade or more, like someone like you, like that I've known for 10 years. I couldn't say, like, there at one point she's saying stuff about how the feelings the one character, how she would talk to her grandma. And like, I wouldn't be able to say something like that about you, and I've known you for 10 years. And so I don't know, I didn't love the play, but they did a great job with it. And like, one of the hard parts about reviewing community theater is that people kind of expect you to like everything because they worked so hard on it. They love it so much. And so when you come and you're like, I didn't like the play, I think you're amazing. Like, and I try to emphasize positive when I can, but it's just functionally impossible that I, as a human being, am going to like everything that I see. That's just, like, not going to happen. But because they love it and they've been working so hard at it, they sometimes get offended. And they didn't. In fairness, they were fine. They were totally fine. But I'm just saying that sometimes it can be a tricky situation for me as a critic to review community theater. That's usually a volunteer situation, but it's like, well, they invited me. They want me to, give the feedback. And so anyway, I always say that I think I'm a better film critic than I am a theater critic, because I'm able to speak my mind just a little bit more and be a little more. I think with theater, especially community theater, you do have to couch it a little bit, in what's going on. And anyway, but yeah, I just didn't love that play. It was not my favorite. Then I saw She Loves Me at BYU, and I love this play. And were you on that when Centerpoint did it?
Yeah,
She
that's a
loves
good
me.
show.
Oh, I just absolutely love it. I love the songs. I love everything about it. And this was an absolutely brilliant production. I mean, they really did think of every little detail, from the sets to the costumes were incredible. The chemistry between the two of them was so good. All the supporting actors were all great. Ilona was so good.
Mhm.
I absolutely loved it. It was great. And then I saw Pride and Prejudice at Centerpoint, which you got to work on, and I have seen this adaptation many times. It's Melissa Leone Larson. I've interviewed her twice, and I love her. I think she's incredible, and this is just such a great adaptation that I think it's almost hard to screw up. It's so good. and but they really didn't. And what impressed me probably the most, not only was the chemistry so good, but we talked about this, but the use of projections, because it was a black box and it really made everything very immersive. And
Mhm.
I'm very picky about projections because a lot of times it can feel like this is a cheap cut,
Mhm.
in which I would just way rather have like a handmade set, you know.
Mhm.
Which also I forgot to mention, I did see Clue High School Edition at the American Preparatory Academy. And I was so proud of them because they were also in a black box and they had everything was handmade, everything
Oh,
by the
wow.
students. All the
Wow.
costumes were made by the students, everything was students, and they had these rolling platforms for the different rooms, like in Clue you have the study, you have
Uh-huh.
the different rooms, so these rolling platforms, and I was like, that's so smart, like way to use for a black box, way to use the space in lots of creative ways. And I just think that is so important for especially high school kids to learn how to do these things, because how do you know if you like something if you never get a chance to try?
Yeah.
You could end up, I love painting. And so you learn that in painting the sets. You could learn, I love sewing.
Mhm.
And so I think it's really important. But anyway, I loved the projections in this Pride and Prejudice. I thought it really added a layer that was
Good.
special. Yeah. And you did the sound
Mhm.
for this, the sound design.
I
So
did.
so did you have to come up with like the sound of the rain and things like that,
Uh-huh.
or
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
Wow.
gunshots, the rain, the mist
Yes.
the mist gunfire, like, just a whole bunch of different things like that.
Oh, man, that's so cool.
It's a
You did
lot
a
of
great
fun.
you
The
did a
gun
great job.
sounds are accurate from the
Uh-huh.
1800s.
Wow. Yeah. And I cannot believe, because I wanna see the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday cast,
Good
but it's
luck.
completely sold out. Completely.
Yeah,
Like, that's
it's
wild.
they
Uh,
added 6 shows and everything is sold out. It's insane.
Like, and well, I said this other, that it's not like it's a show that isn't done that much,
Mm,
or some rare like, ooh, exclusive. You gotta no. This is the ninth time I've seen Pride and
yeah.
Prejudice in the recent years since I started
So,
keeping
it's
track.
done,
It's
but
done
this
a
one's
lot.
really good.
It's really good, and just very impressive that they are completely sold out. I was shocked.
That's why I'm telling people, get on the standby list, because if they have people
Yeah.
cancel their tickets, they start calling the standby people.
So
So,
if you want to get on the standby list, how do you do that? Do you just
just
call in the
call
morning?
Centerpoint box office.
In the morning?
Uh-huh, and they can get your name. Like, if you say, "Hey, I wanna go on a such and such date," they'll put you on the standby list for that date
Oh,
in case they have any
it doesn't
yeah,
even
in
have
case
to
they
be
have any
that morning?
cancellations. Mhm. Yeah, it doesn't have to be that
Ooh,
morning. They do release the handicap seats, like the wheelchair seats, if they haven't been sold, they release those at 7 p.m. the day of the show.
okay.
So that's only like a half an hour,
Yeah.
time. But if you get on the standby list, just tell them a date you want, get on the standby list, and if they have cancellations, they will call the standby
Ooh,
people.
okay, I'm definitely calling on Monday then
Yeah.
for sure.
So that's how we're telling people to get tickets. It's great. Like, we need a lottery or something.
Crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, but it was absolutely outstanding. It
I'm
was
glad
so
you
good.
liked
I'm
it.
glad I at least got to see it one time.
It's a
Uh,
funny show. I could
so
not
good.
believe how funny it is, and the
Yeah.
actors are great in this.
And then I saw Steel Magnolias at OPA, and I love this play. It's such a good play. I mean, if you've seen the movie, they're very close. It's a very close adaptation of the play. I think it's such a smart play for community theater to do. I mean, usually most community theaters have a lot more women than men. This is all women, so that makes sense. And it's the kind of play that I enjoy because I think it's very emotionally rich. It's funny, it's sad, it's got all of the emotions that you could want.
Mhm.
And so I love that about it. And this was a very amateur version. I'm not going to lie. Like there were lines dropped. There were probably, it was an amateur version. This is in their creator stage. But there was a side of me that kind of almost appreciated it more than some of the more professional versions I've seen because it was just it added an authenticity, that really felt like these women, living their lives.
Yeah.
And I really did enjoy it. And and OPA, I call them a learning company. And I think they're really important to have learning companies because you've got places like Centerpoint, you've got places like Hale and everything like that, which are awesome. And I love Pioneer Theater. That's professional, but you have these incredible companies. But you need to have one place where people can just try, where people can make mistakes and drop lines and learn. And because again, how do you know if you like something if you never get a chance? So I appreciate places like OPA
Yeah.
that are a learning company. So there we go. That is everything that I have been watching and our deep dive into Wicked. So let us know what you think of all the things we talked about if you are listening. And thanks so much for coming on doing this. I don't know
This
if you want
was
to share your
yeah.
Instagram or social media or anything.
It's just at CamelSpit52 is my Instagram handle.
Good.
Funny, my nickname's Camel. It works.
Yes.
But yeah, like I just have to say, there's so many Easter eggs in the second
Yeah.
show. I have so many. I don't want to give them away because so you can find them. But the one that I will say
Yeah.
is
What's your favorite one?
my favorite was the dedication to the original musical poster at the very end when Glinda is whispering into Elphaba's ear. Like it's just showing you
I
the
didn't even catch
original
that.
the original musical poster right
Mhm.
on. So you'll have to pick that up next time. But
Yeah,
yeah, there are so
that's cool.
many. If you want to know any more, you guys can let me know.
Well, you can find me at Rachel's Reviews all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. And on Stage Blog, we did a recap of from more of a deep dive theater perspective that we'll post this week. So you want to check that out. And you should definitely check out the movie show that I've been on since July and will continue for at least a little bit. So that's been so exciting for me. And I would love if y'all check that out. That's Friday mornings on KSL. And if you miss it, you can listen. If you just look up KSL Movie Show, you can listen to a podcast version. And I think it's very entertaining. I'm very proud of it. It's a dream come true. So I would really appreciate people checking that out. And of course, you check out Hallmarky's podcast for all the rom-com holiday and Hallmark reviews during especially this time of year. We're posting almost every day an episode of Hallmarky's podcast.
That's amazing. You guys are so good.
It's pretty fun. And so definitely I would really appreciate. We're so close to 10K subscribers. I would love if we got to 10K subscribers by the end of the year. So check out Hallmarky's podcast. It's a lot of fun. And if you once I post this, if you're listening to this on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really, really helps a lot. If you're a fan of a podcast, leave a review on iTunes. It's free and it really helps people out so much. And if you're watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. I also have our Patreon group, which is the biggest way you can support everything that I'm doing. And you can be a part of really cool experiences. Like tomorrow, we are having the writer and director of the movie Switch for Christmas. They are joining us. We're going to watch the movie together. This is a movie with Candace Cameron Bure, where she played twins. So it should be pretty fun if you want to learn how they make those double effects and different things. Like if you just want to learn how to write and make a movie, it's a cool experience, and that's for any level of the Patreon. And we have bonus episodes. And if you want to listen to the podcast ad free for both Rachel's Reviews and Hallmarkies, sign up for the Patreon. That's a new feature that we just added this fall. So check that out. And then I have merch store where I've got lots of theater inspired merch. Just check that out. Got some movie inspired, of course, holiday inspired. So check that out. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. And